All right, we're live. Yes, we're live. Welcome. Welcome to the Anyone Can Farm Experience live chat Tuesday night edition. Today's the 7th of May 2024. I'm Mark, your host, coming to you from Baker's Green Acres in lovely Marion, Michigan. And what a day. I hope everybody's doing good. I had a great day today. We had mild weather and a little bit of rain all day long. And I just came in, and you can't tell, but my hair is wet. It was raining pretty good when I came in, which is okay. So we got our work done today, and now it's going to rain a little bit. All the animals will settle down and get a little wet. And the nice thing about having rain this time of the year is it's going to grow the grass, and that's what we like to see. I remember before I was in the farming business, rain in the spring, it was like, it's always raining. All that would do is it make the grass grow, and then I have to be out there mowing the grass. So it was a little aggravating to me. But now the grass growing is a good thing because the grass is going to be my hay crop for the year. And hay is what makes things work around here really well. Well, Belva's with us. Right on. I've been kind of wondering where you've been. Haven't seen you guys in a while, but I have been keeping up with you on Facebook, and I see a lot of good things are going on at your place. Let's see. I want to go over a few things. We have something in the past that I want to talk about. We did Seedlings Day, Seedling Saving Day. Used to be Seed Savers Day, and we used to do it in April, but we switched it to June, and that was Saturday. And it was a total success. It was a total success. Jill thought that we had between 50 and 60 people came. I counted 40, and then there was a bunch of stragglers. So, but anyway, that's really not the point, is to just gather a bunch of people. The point is to create community, like a community event. I met people that I don't know that live in the same town as me. And that's really a nice thing. I mean, there was some younger folks that came here, actually graduated with one of my kids, and now they're kind of out on their own, and they're trying to figure out a direction to go, and I think that a lot of what the Anyone Can Farm program is about appeals to them, and I think that's a good thing. So I saw a lot of that. I saw a lot of people that met other people that they didn't know. We had vendors that we allowed to come in this time, and they were all from the tribe. So they had brought things with them from their homestead, and it was sort of an outlet where they could say, okay, this is what we do on place. And you could see business cards going back and forth, and, oh, you guys do this, that's great, because that would support what we're doing at our place. Because not every homestead does everything. And like I don't fix cars. So it's really nice that I have Spears Automotive. I plug them a lot because cars are pretty important. Cars and trucks are pretty important to what we're doing, to all of us, because we have to get around. We didn't have Homestead Provisions with us, but I continue to plug them because they are doing a real good job with milling logs, right? And what that means is I have a place where I can go and I can get rough cut lumber because I need rough cut lumber. I'm in the process of expanding Baker's Green Acres, and that means I need facilities. I need places and spaces, that I can put things in and process things. And, last summer is when I built the overhang, and the high rail is what we call it. So we needed a rail that was high enough that we could process cattle, right? Very important. And I built that last summer, and I built that with the wood that I got from Homestead Provisions. So you really want to look into that outfit if you need rough cut lumber. They're in Leroy, which is half an hour, 40 minutes from me. But we're on rural roads, so that's kind of why it takes a little long to get there. But let's see, who else did we have? We had Mary Galvanic was here. She runs a school, field and forest school. So they educate probably about 10 kids, and they have a little farm over in Cadillac that they use as a educational facility. And they're going places, man. They're really expanding. I think homesteading right now, the term homesteading really used to denote kind of a way of life, but we're starting to see where people are turning to it because not too many people are going to just work a job and then goof off the rest of the time. A lot of these people want to be productive in their off time. So homesteading is a viable option. And there are people that are homesteading like myself that it's a full-time thing. It's a full-time job. And I want to talk a little bit about that tonight, talking about plan for the future on your homestead. And I got a couple of things to show you tonight that got me excited right now. And like every time I turn around, there's some other new process to do that, wow, we didn't even know that was out there. I've been pretty excited for probably about a year now about milking cows. And it used to seem to me that, gee, milking cows, I don't want to be tied down like that. You got to milk them every single day. I used to think that you had to milk them twice a day, but you actually don't. You can milk them just once a day. And it's going really well for us. We have a system. Ooh, nice lightning out there. We have a system down pat now. And I got 3 5-gallon buckets of milk today from my cows. One of my cows just freshened a week ago, and we started keeping her milk last Friday. And what I mean by that is when they first have their calf, you don't keep their milk for our milk customers because it is real heavy with colostrum, and it's got kind of a flavor to it that's not exactly sweet. It's sort of irony is the best way I can explain it. And that clears out in about 3 or 4 days. We usually give them plenty of time to clear out. And all of that milk we keep in buckets. And that's the milk that's going to the calves. So, yeah. So right now I'm producing quite a bit of milk, and 15 gallons of milk at $10 a gallon, that's $150 a day. And we're done with that by about 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's the homestead is not like one thing. If I was going to do just one thing and milk 80 cows, wow, you've got to move a lot of milk down the road. And it's, then you wind up in a retail situation and don't really think that that's a good idea. Or a wholesale situation, like where you've got to sell your milk in bulk to somebody who can handle it. And that's usually the big milk co-ops. And they're not interested in coming and picking up 15 gallons from me a day, right? It would have to be a lot more than that. And they'd probably pick up every other day or every third day. And they like to pick up a semi-load. So I'm not interested in doing that at all, because if I did, then I wouldn't have time to do anything else. And it's almost like it locks you into a process that it's hard to do anything else. Where the homesteading model, I can milk 10 cows. I'm done with it by 10:30 or 11 o'clock. And we don't start super early either. We're not really into that getting up before the sun comes up. We kind of work the other way. We go a longer in the day, get up a little later and go longer. Or we get up early, but we don't get right to it right off the bat. We kind of hang around for a little while and kind of eat breakfast and, just hang around, get used to being awake again. So anyway, I had quite the day today. I'm working on a new retort. Actually, I'm building a second retort, and this one's going to be actually going to Homestead Provisions, so they can handle a lot of their scrap wood, from the sawing operation and turn it into biochar. And I'm hearing a lot more about biochar out there in the greater homesteading world, because it really is a tremendous product for livestock, gardening, crop production. It's just an all-around good thing. It's getting a lot of good press, so that's great. So that's kind of what I worked on today. I had to make a run into Cadillac. I did that about 6 o'clock, and I did that because I wanted to pick up some what's called sphagnum moss. And that's this, and I'm going to be talking to you about that. All right, Keith is with us. And yeah, biochar is awesome. It is definitely awesome. Big time force multiplier is what we would call that. And I'm just getting started. The retort that I have, I'm going to modify it to make it work better, right? It works good right now, but the problem that we have is loading it, right? So I want to make it less cumbersome and require less people to do it. It's nice if you can just have one guy doing it, and you don't need, one guy to guide the barrel down into the retort. It's kind of hard to explain, but I'm going to build a trolley system, and I can load barrels, a lot of barrels with feedstock, and just have them waiting. And when I'm ready to load them in the retort, I can do it with a chain hoist and a trolley. So that's what I'm going to be working on. But I'm building Parker's. I started on it yesterday, and I'm almost done with it. I'll finish it tomorrow, and then I've got to wait for some refractory, which is an insulation, a high temp insulation. I've got to wait for that in the mail, right? And then we'll have that completed, and I can get that delivered down to them, and they can start making their own biochar. But this weekend was really good. And I'll tell you what it does. When you open up your space and you allow people to come in, maybe not, it might not be like this for everybody, but for me, it's like I want things to be looking like we care. I don't want trash laying around. I want things organized. And on a daily basis of running a farm, a lot of times we don't organize as we go. So there is stuff around, and I like to get everything moved back in where it belongs and cleaned up, windows looking a little bit cleaner than they were. And, you got to get porta potties put in place. You got to put signs up. You got to prepare a parking area. And of course, we served food. We had a potluck, so we had to move everything in the butcher shop and put the tables in a different spot so we could put all the food out on the table, and then have tables and chairs in there so people could sit. And we had really nice weather. It was just a beautiful day. The one that we had last year, people didn't clear out of here until 7 o'clock at night. This year, the last person left at 4. Right. So I think it was because it was a nicer day and people were like, okay, we got this done. Let's go do something else. So it was good. But what it does is it helps me to stay focused on moving in the right direction, in a positive direction. And that is what but with the overview of long term, right? And we talk about short term all the time, but let's talk about long term. But before I do that, we have on the 17th and 18th of this month, we have the Mitten Homestead Conference. And this is the first year of it. You guys hear me talk about it all the time. I'm real excited about it. I was asked to present on one day, but then a guy, for health reasons, had to bow out, and I took his slot. So I'm going to be talking 2 days. So you can get all you want of me in person there. And I'm going to be doing pastured poultry and then heritage hogs, right? So, it's I only have an hour to present on each one. And usually what I like to do when I have an hour is give a 45-minute presentation and then leave 15 minutes at the end so people can ask questions, right? And really, if you had an hour and a half, it would be better. An hour and a half would be better for me, because then I could do the presentation. Because usually the Q&A at the end is always cut short, because people have a lot of questions. And any of these processes, when we explain it, we're trying to explain it in the greater context of the homestead. That's kind of my goal, because it isn't just, okay, build a pen, put 4 pigs in it, now you're done. It's bigger than that. There's way more facets to the process that you can own, and it's going to expand your horizons into this, and then it makes it easier for you to step into the next process and the next process. I mean, raising, let's say, 4 pigs at first, that's a challenge, because you've never done it before. And generally, people are not even thinking about the dollars and cents of it all. And that comes much later. But we like to, expose you to that. Like, you ought to be thinking about this, because, yeah, it is a factor. So that's coming up 17th and 18th, and that is at Lake Odessa here in Michigan. That's sort of down by Grand Rapids. Me and Jill are going to go down there and stay over Thursday night, and then we're going to stay over Friday night, because for us, it's going to be sort of a vacation. I get to be with people who are into what I'm into, and just talk and have fun and eat food and have fun and talk and all that stuff, and then stay down there. I'm not exactly sure where we're staying yet. We're looking into that. Jill's supposed to look into that this week, and I know she will. We kind of like the bed and breakfast thing, or the Airbnb thing. That seems to work out really good. And if we get a big enough place, maybe we could team up with other people. Although maybe at the end of the day, I'm going to just want to be left alone, and I'll bring some VCR tapes with us, and we can just watch Oprah reruns. All right. So, and then the next thing after that is going to be in June, and it's pretty close. All right. So Mitten is on the 17th, 18th, and then on the 8th of June, we will be having our annual pastured poultry class, which is a 1-day class. It's a full day. And we try to go over everything that you need to know to get into the pastured poultry process. And if you want to take it to the next step and make a business out of it, highly encourage it. Highly encourage. It's kind of known as one of the gateway processes into homesteading. Boy, we're getting some serious thunder and lightning out there. I got battery power here, so we should be okay if we lose power. But this class has turned out to be a really good class. What makes a good class for me is when they show up and they have a sense of urgency. like they want to do something. And they're not here to just lollygag. They're here to get right into it and learn and ask a lot of questions. And usually this day, the pasture poultry day, goes by in an instant because me and my staff are running. We're running because it's actually hands on. So what you can expect is uh, a, a short lecture at the beginning, an overview, a meet and greet, all that, and then we get into the construction methods of the brooder, of the chicken tractors. We go over operations of the chicken tractors, and that takes us right up to about lunch. And then we have chicken for lunch. Hear that? It's a boomer. Now, when there's thunder and lightning like this, somebody from in the house should be going out to the brooder to make sure everything's buttoned up. I hope that's happening. I hope that's happening. Jill's on here, so she can hear me, and I'm sure she's just said to Frank, oh, you better get out and check on the chicks, make sure they're in. The chicks are about, our first load of chicks are about 4 weeks. Yeah, they'd be about 4 weeks. So they're pretty good size. But if they're outside when this starts up, a lot of times they just hunker down and they'll sit there and get totally soaked. But I think somebody's probably out there taking care of it. I walked by it on my way in because it was starting to rain, and most of them were in already. Rick is on it, is what Jill says. Yep, I knew it. Yep, there he goes. There he goes. So, yeah, the pasture poultry day after lunch, then we get right into processing. So everybody will be able to get really their hands right in it. We process probably about 50 or 60 birds, depending on how many people we have. I think we're letting 25 people in. So it'll be 2 birds per person. And the price of the class includes you get to take 2 birds home. So it's a pretty good value, I think, and it will give you a leg up on the next guy. We share everything that we do, and we're pretty successful at it. You may be thinking, wow, you're actually building, you're creating competition for you. Not really, because I live in a town that has probably 2,000 people in it, and Cadillac is, well, I don't know if there's 2,000 people in McBain, but maybe 1,000. But Cadillac is 20 minutes away, and there's 10,000 people there. 10,000. And most families are going through a chicken a week. So you do the math on that, and there's no way that we're even scratching that market. So there could be somebody next door to me doing the same thing, or Parker's down there in Leroy doing the same thing. It's okay. It's okay. There's plenty of customers to go around. All right. So that's that. And then in July, I'm going to start talking about this 13th, 14th. Well, actually, no, it's the 12th, 13th, and 14th is Tribe Day. And Tribe Day is not exactly Tribe Day. We allow people to come to the farm after noon, so after 12 on Friday, because it winds up that people camp here. So the first year that we did it, people were just camping in the hayfield, right? Because we didn't have a campground. But now we have a campground, and we allow people to bring campers in and tents and whatever they want. It's solid enough over there that they can get in and set up. We have water over there now. And I think that's where we're going to hold. I don't think we're going to put electricity over there, at least not this year. Not really that necessary. Whoa, it is coming down. Hopefully everything's in. I think it is. Oh, Frank's motorcycle isn't. Okay. So that's coming up. That's a pretty much a 3-day event. And we have a really nice lineup of speakers. These are also people that we draw from the tribe that are good at something and have stepped forward and said, I'd like to share what I'm going to do. So we make certain spaces available, set up the chairs. So it is a fun thing. You get together and hang around with other like-minded people. We do continual tours of the farm. The pool is open for the kids. There's other stuff going on, petting zoo. The farm is basically opened up. The only place we don't like people coming is in the house. We keep the kids out of the house. But we pretty much have a run of the place. And then we have meals together. I usually roast a pig, and I'm planning to do that this year. And it's just a fun time. It really is a fun time. And then Sunday, we have skills share time. So anybody who attends this, or even if you don't attend it, and you want to come and show off what you do, set up a table. Hey, I make honey. This is what I do. Here's some honey if you want to buy it. No problem. It's almost like a vendor type thing. And this year we are going to have vendors as well. So our criteria for vending is, if one guy's going to come and set up a sawmill, we probably are going to limit it to one guy. If one guy's going to come with honey, or if one person wants to come with honey, we'll say, okay, well, let's just have one. So it's first come, first serve. And that's been pretty neat too. We had people here last year that were spinners. So we have sheep and we share the sheep. No, we don't share the sheep. We don't. But these people do. Let's see. What else did we have going on? Oh, Aaron is going to do a post and beam demonstration. So that should be pretty neat. Last year we built a cabin, but it didn't go as planned because it was kind of far away. It was over at the campground, and we had rain. So it didn't go as I thought it would plan. I thought more people would want to throw down on that and help and get the experience. There was a group of boys, the Mulholland boys. They threw down and they were a great help. Well, we got the structure up and made pretty good progress on it. It's still not finished. It's one of those things. It's a work in progress. And priorities, there's priorities that have taken up my time. I'm not complaining about it. I feel very fortunate that we've gotten most everything done that we needed to do. So, well, for now, it's an interesting time in the spring if you keep cows, right? So I have 5 milk cows and 2 heifers that are in with that group. So we will have 7. And then I have a group of steers, and there's about 10 of them. And anytime we have one of our cows fresh and she gives us a bull calf, we'll castrate him. And then when he's weaned, we'll put him in with the steers and he becomes one of them, and those are the beef animals, and they're separated. So they're not together anymore. Last year at Tribe Day, they were still together. And, we had kind of a problem last year at Tribe Day where somebody left the gate open and they wound up out. And we didn't realize it until we were sitting around the campfire at probably it was dark. I remember that. And we're sitting at the campfire and all of a sudden I heard cows. Like, what is that? And trying to get the cows in during the day can be a challenge, but at night, where they don't know where they're going and they can't see, that's a big problem. And it would not have been good. There was a bull in with them, and I thought we had it handled, but we didn't. And a fence got left open, a gate. A group of kids left the gate open, I believe. So that won't be happening this year. But what happens is in the spring, the cows see fresh grass on the other side of the fence and they can't get to it because there's an electric fence. So they're edgy, right? And you can feel their anxiety on the farm. You really can. And if they get the chance to go through fences to get it, they will. And unfortunately, once they start walking and eating, they continue. And this time of the year, having cattle out is not a good thing because it's really wet and they can do a lot of damage to your hay fields or my neighbor's hay fields or my neighbor's lawns. So there's a lot of anxiety. But then as soon as we open the gates and let them in on fresh grass, and there's lots of it, they are just eating and then laying down, eating and laying down, and they're happy people, and you wouldn't even know that they're here, right? Which is kind of nice. And then you go through the converse of that when you go into fall, because they're not finding what they want out on the field. And then when we start dropping bales, they know it's okay, we're on hay for the year. And then they kind of get happy with that. So they're good people to have around. I really like them. I think that if we got out of everything else, we would still stay in cattle, because once you have the infrastructure put together, it's just a question of maintenance on the infrastructure. And then the animals, they kind of care of themselves, right? So, okay. Tribe Day's coming, and we're not going to have a huge pile of people here. We want to keep it kind of small and intimate. Tribe people, Tribe Plus people, definitely get a break on the price of the day, right? So they come first. They're dedicated to what we're doing. And then tribe people next, and then people from the outside. But we're not really putting builds up to get 500 people here. I like the idea of about 150, right? I think that's quite enough. That's a lot of people. So we'll see. All right. So tonight, I wanted to talk about long-term planning. And there's several processes that I'm involved with here that you don't see you don't get immediate gratification for it. And what life on the farm has done for me is it's helped me to look into the future. I heard a guy talk about 3 tiers of people. I just heard this yesterday. It was just an offhand thing. A guy was talking about something else, and he talked about, it's about wealth building and success and perseverance and things like this. It was like one of these things you listen to that make you feel like, yeah, let's go get some. And the tier 3 people, which would be probably the people that you want to limit your acts to, are people who talk about other people negatively and complain, right? Whether they're complaining about their situation, their finances, their bad luck, whatever it is, and continually bringing that up, you want to limit your access to them, because it doesn't do you any good to hear that complaining. I know when I'm around people that are complaining a lot, I have a tendency to kind of look at life that way, half empty instead of half full, right? The tier 2 or the level 2 are people that are talking about things in the past, whether they're good or bad. I mean, I'm not saying that we're never going to talk about things in the past. Obviously, I just did. I just talked about something that happened in the past last Saturday, but it was a good thing. And if you weren't here, you probably want to know how it went. And why am I briefing you on this. You need to do this. You need to create community. Just, you can't be waiting for me to do it. You can't be waiting for Donald Trump to do it for you, or Joe Biden to do it for you. You got to be doing this. You got to be taking the bull by the horns and making it happen in your community. So that's why I share it. But talking about things in the past, like baseball games in the past, or victories in the past, or this or that. All right, let's talk about it. But if that is the focus, how great it used to be when I was in the service, that's when things were good. That's when I could understand the world. When in reality, there was challenges there too, or when I was a kid, things were great then. In the 70s, we had the best cars, and the hottest chicks. I'm not saying you can't do that. You can. Reminiscing is great, but you can't live in the past. But the people who are making it happen are the ones that are discussing ideas to go into the future, and then executing those ideas going into the future. Those are the people that you want to spend time with all the time. You want to look for those people, and you want to be that person. And I think that works for the homestead too, because obviously we're seeing a return to where we were probably the last time we were here was in the 20s, right? And I know that back in the days of our forefathers, like before the Revolutionary War, very few people lived in town. Very few. Most people lived in the countryside because that's where prosperity was created, right? Farming is one of the very few places, or maybe the only place, where wealth is created, right? And the creation that we live in, we see it, but we only see what we're seeing. We're not seeing the potential. And I think that for me, anyway, and for somebody who is talking about ideas and executing ideas, I know that there is way more potential in this career field that we're in. And I call it a career field because it is. I mean, this is, I'm going to do this. This is it. I'm not going to be getting that shrimping boat. This is, I have way too much to do, and I'm way too excited about building this to say, I think I'll go to work in a factory now, and that seems like it'd be a lot more fun, a lot more lucrative, better people. No, I don't think so. I mean, I know so. I know. So when we look at planning, and we look at ideas, and we look at execution of those ideas, we have to know that we don't know what we don't know. There's a lot out there that we don't know. Has everything been discovered? I don't think so. I think, if anything, the world that we live in now, we're discovering as a species of people, or a society of people, we're discovering that a lot of stuff has been kept from us. History is not exactly accurate. There's an active trend towards keeping people entertained and just pacified. Do your 40 hours of work, get off work, get your six pack, go home, watch the Kardashians, and then do it all over the next day. And, if that's what you want to do and you're happy doing that, good on you. Because we definitely need people to do that. I'm not satisfied with that. And I'm not happy when I'm doing that. I want to make new discoveries. I'm like inquisitive about things, and all of a sudden I will see something and say, whoa, do you know what we could do with that? Do you realize what that could mean? Like the milking thing. It generates a lot of money. And it's difficult, I guess, to make it happen, but it's just like with everything else, it's a compilation of individual tasks. You know, when I start in the morning, like me and Frank, we milk on Tuesdays. So when I get out there, my job is to put the milking equipment together, right? That's it. I got to put this stuff together. Now, I didn't know how to do that when I moved here or when I first got that milking equipment. I didn't know how it went together. I did not know how it worked. I had no clue because that wasn't my thing. I didn't do that. But as I put it together and then hooked it to the machine, I started to, well, this isn't working. And then I had to go down to the place where they sell parts for this stuff. It's Brown Dairy equipment. I went down there and they showed me how to make it work. And I started getting used to it. We started using it. We were milking one cow and hey, we know how this works and we're getting milk. The milk is good. Oh, she gets, the cow has a problem. Well, I don't know what that means. I don't know what to do. A mastitis, for instance. Well, I have no idea. This is the first time I ever touched a cow, really. And so you had to learn all these little components. You had to string them all together. And then once you learn the components, well, how do they fit together? Okay, if she gets mastitis, we do this. But how come she got mastitis? How can we keep her from getting mastitis? Mastitis is an irritation in the teats. And you will see in the milk, you'll see little globules of fat, maybe pus, I don't know. But you see that and it's like, hey, something's wrong, so we got to get a handle on this. So how do you prevent her from getting that? All these little things that you have to do. Then you get your milk, and how do you preserve the milk? How do you handle the milk? What do you put the milk in? What do you do when you have 15 gallons of milk and there's no customers lined up for the milk? What now? What? So you got to learn all these little things. And once you learn them all, and I don't know them all, but we know enough to be able to have a relatively smooth operation that we have right now. I'm constantly upgrading and going to make it better constantly. I have so many ideas to make it better. Then you have some success, but it's not like I was born knowing how to do this. So when we started this, at some point we decided, hey, we're gonna try this. We're gonna see if we can share this with our neighbors and make this operation pay for itself. And when it was paying for itself, hey, there was extra. We bought all of the grain that the cow needs. All the hay is paid for. And then there was still some extra. Whoa, now what? Well, let's upgrade the facility. So we did. So at first we had one place where we milked, one stanchion that I built in the hay barn. Bad place to put it, but I didn't know any better until we finally figured out that the cows on this farm were supposed to be milked in the milking parlor that was all full of junk. I had actually raised pigs in there for a while, and we had to clear all that out. And you may remember at one point I said, hey, this would make a great dining room down here. It woulda, but dark, no windows, and moisture, and been a lot of animals down there. Dining room, you out of your mind, right? So we jettisoned that idea, and we moved in a different direction. Now we're milking cows down there, and that barn was designed to do that. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I'm where I'm supposed to be. I think the spirits of the men who built this farm were starting to get restless. You know, they're up there and they're saying, "You see what he's doing now?" So I actually try to align myself with the plan that they came here with from Holland. You know, these guys came here as experienced farmers. They just needed land, and there was nothing for them over in Holland. It was all taken up. So you 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 have short-term goals and then long-term goals, right? Long-term planning. Long-term planning can be something that you do, and I can think of a couple of things that I want to kind of talk about tonight. And one of them I just discovered. I just discovered it because my kids were here the weekend before last. It was a Sunday, and we were going to be having a family day. And me and my oldest son were walking around. I forget what we were doing exactly, but we were walking around. We stopped and we were looking at this tree. And this tree is one that I planted probably 5 years ago. And this tree is just doing really well. We got a lot of fruit off of it last year, sort of a cross between a plum and a peach. So they're just, I forget what you call them. They're just like shiny peaches, right? And this one tree has a thick trunk on it and beautiful branches. It's got a great crown on it. It's doing really well. I planted it right on a fence line. On the other side of it is my sow pen. And my thought is when these trees are fully mature and they're dropping a lot of fruit, some of it will just get tossed over the fence to the pigs. So that was my thought. And I have two of them. I planted three. One of them didn't make it, and we replaced it with an apple tree. And it's doing really well, too. So we were looking at the branches, and Kyle was talking to me about pruning. Kyle's knows a lot about horticulture. It's always been something that's kind of runs in his veins because my dad was a big time horticulturalist, and so Kyle's into bonsai is what it's called, and it's a intense pruning of trees to make them conform to a small tree stature, and they're decorative and stuff, and he's done a real good job with that. But he was talking to me about pruning, and he says, well, you can just prune them and let the branches drop to the ground, or you can air prune them or air layer them. He had two different terms, and I was like, what's that? And pretty much what this is, let's see if I got something I can write with here, because I can go to the board, but I have some training aids to show you. Let's see. I'm supposed they are right here. Let's see if we can find a color in here that's going to be working good. But anyway, when we buy trees from the nursery, a lot of times we think that they're starting them from seed, but that's not the case. They clone them. And here's how they do it. Well, now they do it differently than I'm going to show you. What they do is they take clippings off the tree and they put them in a solution that propagates root growth, right? And we can do that too. But there is another way. And so like on this tree that I was showing Kyle, there was a limb that was going out, and obviously it was a sucker limb. It was pretty big, and you project that tree 10 years in the future, and that limb is going to be detrimental to that tree. It's going to have a tendency to want to split that tree. So I said, this one's got to come off, but it's too bad. Look at all the blossoms on that tree. And he's like, oh, you don't have to waste it. You can air layer it or air root it. Let's see, maybe this is going to tell me what the correct term is. I should know this. It doesn't really say what it's called, but it's got great instructions here. Plant root growing pods. Anyway, what you do is let's say you have a branch. Ooh, this is a good color, green. And it's going out like this, and it's really good. Let's say it's about that size. All right. And your main trunk is here, and you determine that needs to come off. Right? So that's the situation that I have out there. Okay? That's got to come off. So what he did was he took his knife and he cut around this branch, and he cut a 1-inch section of the bark completely out. So he girdled it, he went around it, and then he peeled that bark out. And then what he did was he got some medium. We went around and we looked and see what we could find. Old leaves, some straw, some green material, some fresh grass, and kind of clumped it all up. And then kind of made a ball around this. Like that. Just put it around there. And then took a piece of cellophane and wrapped it. Okay? And then he took a piece of twine, just baling twine, and tied it on. Just went around it probably 10 times and then tied it. And what that does is right there, you will have a ball of roots grow. So I looked into it, and they make some apparatus. These things are definitely reusable. Right? You can see how they close up like this to go around that limb. Let's say, what do I got that's about that skinniness? Say this pen is that limb, and this will go around that, like that. Like that. And then I got this stuff at Home Depot. This is called sphagnum moss. Long fibered sphagnum moss. And I needed this for some other things that I wanted to do. But looked around and there it was. Home Depot. This bag cost $5. And I'll show you what it looks like. This is bone dry stuff. Let's see if they tell you what sphagnum moss is. Is an organic, renewable, perennial plant harvested from rich Wisconsin marshlands. Our sustainable harvest methods assure the continuing growth of our sphagnum plants and preservation of our marshes. So not only are we going to be rooting some trees, but I believe we're going to be saving the planet at the same time. So that's good. So that's what it looks like. It looks like something that you see out in swamps, but evidently it only comes from Wisconsin. So and then what you would do is you put it in this. You wrap it around the tree limb that you've already cut, and then you can either put a piece of tape around here. They gave us some tie wraps to use, and you soak this so you get this completely wet, and then you put this around there. They make a couple of different ones. There's Jill got a variety pack just for starters. but they have translucent ones, and then they have these opaque ones that are black. And now I don't know the difference yet, but I'm going to find out because I'm going to do a lot of research on this. There's so much information out there on that. And according to the instructions, hey, this is great. You can see what that will look like, what that root ball will look like when the rooting is complete. And according to Kyle, I haven't read this one, depending on the different trees or plant species, about grow for 2 to 6 months. No, wait a minute. Okay. Yeah, 2 to 6 months. Kyle told me 5 to 6 weeks. So we'll see. We will see. I think what's nice about these is you can go up to it and you can look at it. You can look through it and you can see what kind of development you've got going on. The black ones, I don't know, but there must be a reason for the black one. And there's you can water them too. So if you put these on correctly, there's a little funnel at the top there. So when you get rain, there's going to be enough moisture getting in them to keep up, so your roots will be, able to propagate. And then when you've got a solid root ball in there, you cut it off right here. You clip it right off there. You take the ball off, and then you put it in a potting soil mix. And you could either directly plant it into the ground, or you could put it in a tub. And I think that would be what I would do, because some of them won't make it. And if you put them out right away and they don't make it, well, I think it'd be cooler if we gave them every advantage that we could. Let's say that we put them maybe in the greenhouse, and I think they'd get a real advantage. But I'll know more because I'm going to research this as much as I can. Now, the advantage that this gives you, let's say that you've got some trees that are doing well on your place. Those are the ones that you would want to take and make these clones from, because they've already proven themselves that they're, when I put those trees in, they were about this big, and now they're this big. Well, some of them didn't make it. So the ones that did make it evidently did well in the environment that's here, and they adapt to it. So those are the ones that you want to clone, instead of going to the nursery and buying trees that might have come from Tennessee or Oklahoma. You never know where they came from. You want them that have accumulate or customize themselves to the environment that you're in. You want that. So what does this do for you? When I planted those trees, like say that plum kind of tree, what do you call those things? Somebody knows what they are. $5. Oh, Barn Geek is saying $5 a bag. He's got 10 acres of that. Well, bring me some, son. Bring me some. I tell you what, nectarine. That's what it is. Nectarine. That's what they are. And they're good. They're good to eat. When you plant trees, they say the best time to plant a tree was last year. We only live so long as humans, like 120 years. And, we can expect to get fruit off these trees, some of them in as quickly as 3 years. We've got a cherry tree out there that's just heavy with cherries. And the one regret that I have is that I didn't plant 10 of them. I wish I had planted 10 of them. But it's a little prohibitive. I was at Walgreens this week, Sunday, just looking around, and I saw a nice little tree, real nice little cherry tree. And it was about this big around, and it was probably 4 feet high, 5 feet high. Beauty. And I was like, yeah, I'd really like to get that. But it was $74, and I've planted quite a few trees. And when I first started planting trees, I wasn't that good at it. I really didn't know what I was doing. I knew how to plant tomatoes, but planting trees is completely different. I could pass on some helpful tips to you too that I've learned, and I'll do that in a sec. But at $70 a tree, that's a little difficult, putting a brand new tree out there this big. It's got to make it through the first winter. The next spring come up. Oh, we've got leaves. But that doesn't always mean anything. They a lot of times they don't adapt to the environment that we're in. As I've stated, we don't know where these trees come from. We just don't know. And so on our homestead, we need to be propagating the trees that are doing well, right? So if my son was here today, Joe was here today, and I was telling him about this, and I was pretty excited about it. And he says, yeah, we sure have planted a lot of trees, because we have. Like every year, usually around Mother's Day, is like I'll drop some money on trees, like 2 trees, and it's like, wow, you're talking better part of $200 on bigger trees, on 2 of them. And it's a little tough, especially when you're trying to build a business. But the cherry trees that I have, I wish I had 10 of them. I wish I had planted 10 of them. And I know I planted more than one, but the one that made it is doing really good. I also have a peach tree that is quite small. It couldn't be any bigger than this. And it had so many peaches on it last year. We went out and picked about a third of them off, and they were not ripe, but I was afraid that it was going to ruin the tree. I was afraid it was going to split the tree. So we picked a bunch of them off, and then when they came in, oh, they were so good. So good. It's nothing like fruit that you get from the store that is picked and then allowed to ripen like on the trip to the store and then on the shelf in the store. It's really tricky doing that. But we would go out to our peach tree. That's how I would do it. I'd go out and I would feel them. And one that I thought, ooh, this one's really soft. I'm going to eat this one. So good. You'd want to stand there and eat 5 of them, So it's a long-term thing, but I think that, by the end of this summer, I'm going to know a lot more about this, and I want an orchard here. I want to have long-term projects in place that are going to be here for a long time after I'm not here, right? 120 years from now. I got 60 to go. So that's what I'm thinking. That's a long-term project that I think is worthwhile doing. Okay? So this stuff, that represents about $14 right there. Not much. And this sphagnum moss was $5. $5. And Aaron says he's got it. So next year at Seedling Day, Aaron was here, by the way, with his lovely family. Next year at Seedling Day, you'll be bringing that stuff by the garbage bag and sharing it with people, and we can do a demonstration on these. I will have trees. That I can pass on to other people. I had a guy, Jordan Buck, actually. He was here with his wife, and he left me, I think, 16 Jerusalem artichokes and close to 20 they're not Mayberries. What are they? Joe, what did he leave me? I can't think of it. But anyway, I really like him. And so that was kind of nice for him to do that. He brought him to share, and like no one thought it was good. No one knew what to do with them. But Jerusalem artichokes, I think, are really cool. They're worth looking into. Definitely worth looking into. Okay, so the other thing, I mean, I could really go into a lot of things that are investments in your homestead, but one that I keep hitting on, and we've been doing it for a long time, but it's still exciting, is biochar. Right? There is wood everywhere in this country. Junk wood laying all over the place, and for some reason, Americans choose to heat their homes with electricity and live with a bill coming in instead of burning wood to heat their homes. Now, I know if you're working out, it's difficult to do. Or some places, if you live in town, it's difficult to do. Or if your house isn't equipped to do it, it's difficult to do. But boy, the amount of money that we spend on electricity, I cannot imagine what it would be like if we were heating the house with electricity. The little bit of heating that we do with electricity is just like little space heaters that will turn on in a room when you're in there, and it sends the bill right through the roof. My goal is some days to be off the grid so that I don't need to get that bill every month. That bill is significant and I don't like it. But we have refrigeration that we have to run for the store and stuff, and haven't quite figured a way around that. Maybe one of these days I'll get an ice house or something. So for right now, I'm using electricity. But biochar is made from the same material. It's made from wood, from scrap wood. If somebody wanted to do this, I could turn you on to a place where you can go and they will fill whatever you have with scrap wood. It's soft wood. And the feeling amongst people who burn wood is, well, soft wood's no good. And it's about the dumbest thing, Yeah, you don't get the BTUs out of it, but I pay like $50 for a 10-yard dump truck full. And the guys load it so full that I'm got pieces falling out on the way home. Why? Because nobody wants it. It's just a cast off. I mean, I think that they'd give it to me if I pressed them hard enough, but I don't mind giving them $50. They're loading it. They're taking time out of their day to load it with their machine. So I'm more than happy to pay them $50 for a truckload. And then we turn it into biochar. And there's more of that stuff than you can shake a stick at. Now, biochar is a long-term additive that you put in your soil. If you choose to use it for your livestock, you get a short-term kick. Like our chickens finish out sometimes in as little as 7 weeks. And it's because of biochar, because biochar keeps them healthy and it keeps their little production guts working properly, and the feed that they eat, they're doing a really good job of converting it into meat and fat and feathers and beef. They do a real good job of it, but that's because of biochar. And I think that, well, I was talking to Parker yesterday and he said, hey, have you seen this biochar forum on Facebook? And I said, no. And he says, okay, well, I'll invite you to it. So he invites me to it. And now I'm seeing a tremendous amount of interest in biochar, new people that are, here it is right here. Right there. It's the second one on that Facebook feed. Biochar Forum. If you guys want to get on there, there's seems to be a lot of good information in there. But I see a lot of people getting interested in it, and that's a good sign. Okay. All right. So biochar, we've been doing it here for 10 years, and I'm going to continue to do it. Matter of fact, I'm going to do more of it. I'm going to get more intense about it because it has made such a difference here. I think the one thing that I haven't done as much as I wanted to do is I wanted to make it part of my personal regiment. Like I'm feeding it to my animals. I want to feed it to me because it does a tremendous job on them. So I'm going to do a test on that. I think I'll start that probably tomorrow, and I'll be able to report to you next Tuesday how it went. So if I forget, somebody should remind me, hey, how'd that go with the biochar? And I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to take it, but I'm not afraid of it at all to put it in my system. It's just a question of how I'm going to do it. I think that you could probably mash it up into a paste and then just kind of slug it down. There's no taste to it. Trying to swallow it dry might be a little problematic. I think you could probably brush your teeth with it. I think you could. I'm going to try that. But it seems to me like it does such wonders for the animals that why are we not doing it? Anyway, but I'm going to try it. All right. Are there any questions? Because I am willing to answer some questions now, but I think I've fulfilled my commitment to the chat tonight. We have it appears to be a smaller group of people. Has anybody got anything on their minds they want to talk about? I already have one of your chain hoists here, Keith. That big one. Barn Geek. Tribe Day was a great experience. Looking forward to this year. Good. You need to bring your people. Figure out a way to camp out here with your whole people, your whole crowd. Oh, Crunchy Mom is with us. Right on. Dave Duncan's with us. He wasn't with us this. I heard he was preparing a sermon for Sunday. That old excuse, huh? That's what I told Isaiah. Oh, that excuse again. Hey, yeah, Aaron, if your mouse is as good as the Wisconsin stuff, we may be on to something. We put it in the store. We'll put it in the store. How about that? And put Zeke on that. Get him to bag it and make a label, make it look professional, and throw $5 on it. And then we can get these and put them in the store too, so people can, get them. Anyway, exciting. I think it's really exciting. Everything's going good here. Cattle are out. They're gaining weight every day. My chickens are doing really well. My chicks are doing good. We're going to be putting them out, maybe this weekend. So they'll have been in for a month. Now they're going to be out for a month. Those are actually the chickens that we'll be processing on the pastured poultry day. So, all right. Have we got any questions here? Any comments? Any complaints? All right, then I'm going to sign off. I think I've covered everything I wanted to hit tonight. I'm going to end the stream right now. Thanks for coming by. Remember, anyone can farm. Good night now.